I think she's going to fly, but that's a really tough championship record that's been on the books for many, many years. It stood since 1973, the second edition of these European Athletics Championship, Under-20 Championships.
That's before I was even born. You were about 25 at that time.
I did think you'd been rummaging through my private papers and found my birth certificate. Well, that's a bit scoundrel-like. Anyway, less of the banter, on with the action. Silvia Danakova, personal best in the semi-finals of 23:44. Great semi-final win for this woman. Lucy Tallon looks great. This is basically her first international outing. Precious Akpa-Moses, excellent semi-final win as well for the woman, looking for redemption after finishing last in the 100 metres final. Now this woman though has to start as the favourite. 23:11 in May, and she's the fastest woman in this final, with the exception of this woman, Táborská. But the Czech athlete hasn't been running quite as well. It's been very impressive from Mokobe. Canovi, well, kept Italian pride flying. Made the final, and the two favoured colleagues managed to not make the final. Helsdottir. And there's a big Swiss contingent as well. Tanatsi got a personal best as well in her semi-final to make this final. They haven't had much time to rest. Only about just over 3 hours. So Mokobe, so impressive this morning. Hails from Mainz. So a quick recap of the starters. Tanatsi, Switzerland. Helsdottir, Iceland. Canovi, Italy. Táborská, Czechia. Mokobe, Germany. Akpa-Moses, Ireland. Tallon of Great Britain, and Danakova of Czechia. And it's Akpa-Moses who's streaking around the bend. At the moment, it's three abreast. It's Táborská, Mokobe, and it's Táborská who's battling against Mokobe. Mokobe now battling back, and out in lane 7, Lucy Tallon comes through so strongly over the final 50 metres to grab a medal. But it goes to the favourite, Mokobe, 23:40. Well, the time diminished by that breeze in their faces of 2 metres per second. But there's nothing diminishing the joy of Judith Mokobe of Germany. Tallon, I think, coming through on the outside very quickly, finishing very quickly in the final quarter of the race. I think she might have got the silver. But Mokobe fulfills her role as favourite. Yes, indeed, it is Tallon. 22:49. Not quite as quick as her semi-final run. That's because of the wind. But on what's essentially her first international outing, what a performance from Tallon. Táborská, well, she's ran 23:07 earlier this year, having to settle for the bronze on this occasion. And Akpa-Moses, after that terrific first half of the race, round the bend, coming in shoulder to shoulder with Táborská and Mokobe, just out to the medals.
Great start from Akpa-Moses. She was up on Lucy Tallon, but Tallon didn't panic. Tallon has had an absolutely incredible 3 races, bearing in mind how inexperienced she is internationally. This was the point at which Táborská just had half a yard on Mokobe, but Mokobe didn't panic. At this point, I thought Tallon might come through to take it, but Mokobe just had the strength on the line. Tallon and Táborská, well, there was virtually nothing in it. 0.004 of a second in the end. They both thoroughly deserved their moment on the podium. Once we realised they were running into a 2-metre headwind, the championship record was never on. But that took real strength from Mokobe. And bearing in mind how strong that headwind was, 23.4, against a woman who's run 23.07 this season. A great win, and I think a good story for all three of them, and they'll all be delighted with their gold, silver and bronze. Tallon, internationally, has come out of nowhere. She'll be over the moon with that, and clearly is.
Yes, Tallon and Táborská given the same time of 23.49, but Tallon, when it's broken down into the thousands, just ran 4 thousandths quicker. Terezie Táborská of Czechia came here having run very fast very early in the season at 23.07. Couldn't quite maintain that form. Mokobe, though, very much the favourite after seeing how she ran in the heats in the semi-final and fulfilled that role.
Great race. Táborská ran brilliantly round that bend, and Mokobe was starting to feel it. Brilliant composure, though, from the young German, who ran that 23.11 in the semis. Akpa Moses, what a better performance from her than we saw in the 100. I think her future does lie over the 2, and maybe if her stamina improves, maybe even the 400.
Yes, I think you're right. I mean, given her stature and given her abilities over the 200 metres, and as you say, did run well, much better than she did in the 100 metres. But no denying Judith Mokobe. Sheer delight on the face of the German. There's confirmed results. Mokobe 23.40. Lucy Tallon, Terezie Táborská 23.49.